I have a brother-in-law. He's a nightmare. He tries to embarrass me over every little thing, but guys, the truth is this. His life, it's falling apart. His kids are addicts. They're also criminals. He has no wife because he's cheated on every girl he's ever been with. And he has the audacity to try to embarrass me. Well, you know what? I can't hold it in anymore. I'm going to have an outburst.
Good afternoon, people. I'm 40, female, and I'm in quite a predicament. There's quite a bit of background information I need to get over first, so this is going to be kind of lengthy. But please bear with me. I need some advice on how to handle the situation. I'm worried my recent behavior at a family dinner might have been out of line, because it seems like my entire family is mad at me over it. But I want to explain my side of the story, because my gut instinct tells me I'm right about what I said at the party. First, I live a mostly happy and peaceful life with my husband Timmy, and my 2 twin children Tina and Tommy. We have our ups and downs, and it's like any married couple, but overall I'm happy. We recently inherited a hefty sum of money from Timmy's uncle, who unfortunately passed away. I don't want to disclose too much because I wish to remain anonymous, but it's a spectacular amount of money for my husband and me, and we make a good living as it is. With Trina and Tommy beginning their high school years, Timmy and I decided that it would be in our kids' best interest for them to attend a prestigious private school in the area rather than a public high school. So we discussed the topic with Tina and Tommy first to assess how they felt about it, and they were both enthusiastically on board. The two of them have always been quite studious and academically inclined, so the decision seemed like a natural one to make. On top of that, Timmy and I have received nothing but support from the majority of our friends and family regarding his decision. We even bragged about our kids on Facebook and received a shower of heart reactions and likes. Now, let me tell you all about the side of the family that's been a thorn in our side. Since I first started dating Tommy in college nearly 20 years ago, enter the world of Baxter, my completely jerk of a brother-in-law. Baxter is a womanizer. Crude, crass, arrogant, loudmouthed, selfish, spoiled, entitled, I could go on. Since the moment I met Baxter, he's always treated me like crap. That's one thing, but he also treats my husband like crap as well, and I've even tried to bring up the issue with Timmy numerous times. But he always brushes it off, even though I can tell the relentless bullying has left some serious emotional scars on him. You see, Timmy is timid by nature. He's thoughtful and sensitive, and he went for artistic pursuits such as graphic design and poetry. And he made a good living doing these things. Baxter, on the other hand, is boisterous and aggressive. He's a raging drunk who can't control his alcohol use, and when he drinks, he turns into an even meaner maniac. Baxter has made his living in life simply coating by on his father and uncle's coattails. Timmy's father and uncle were always disappointed in him for not following in their footsteps and joining the family business company. And so they treated Baxter as something of a golden child because he showed more interest in learning, quote, family trade. Baxter is better at acting like he's one of the guys, because he's a fan of football and country music. He likes talking about the stock market for fancy cigars, whereas my husband Timmy likes to quote Shakespeare from time to time. Sometimes I can't even believe the two of them are related, let alone brothers. Baxter has always abused Tommy. I can't tell you how many awful stories of bullying and abuse Timmy had recounted to me that made me recoil in horror and disgust. I'm aware that siblings pick on each other and get into fights, but Baxter and his group of jock friends made Timmy's life a living hell when they were kids. And Timmy's crazy father encouraged this as if it were merely a friendly, good-spirited competition. This abuse continued into childhood, as Baxter never misses a chance to ridicule Timmy or make fun of his decisions and thoughts. I remember the first time we all had dinner together. Baxter rudely decided to fart in Timmy's face while he was sitting at the table, eating. Everybody just laughed it off, but I could tell Timmy was embarrassed. It makes my blood boil to witness my beloved husband get degraded like this. Since Baxter let his daddy pay his way through college, and he's been pampered by being handed a job at the family company, in which he doesn't even have to do any legitimate work. He mistakenly believes himself to be some sort of expert at everything, and he loves telling Timmy and me that everything we do is wrong. What's especially funny about Baxter's unparalleled arrogance is the big elephant in the room, which nobody has the guts to address. Despite his claims to be an expert in all fields and somebody who acts as if he's above criticism and above us mere mortals, there's the inconvenient fact that Baxter's two sons, Lyle and Leonardo, well, they're drug addicts, and they're also drug dealers. Baxter has had 4 wives and cheated on all of them, and he wrecks every relationship that he's ever been in. Lyle and Leonardo were only born 2 years apart, but they were conceived with different women who walked out on them, so they never knew what a true motherly love felt like. It's quite sad that they turned out the way they did, and I definitely empathize with them because I know I might have turned out in a similar fashion had I been raised by a jerk like Baxter. However, Lyle and also Leonardo have always been 2 of the most spoiled, soured little jerks that I've ever met in my entire life. Even when they were toddlers, they would make a mess of my house in disrespect to Timmy, and whenever we would just get stuck with the unfortunate task of babysitting them, it was a nightmare. Yeah, not to even mention, they would bully our children when we used to try to arrange playdates for the kids. And, finally, Tina and Tommy begged me and Timmy to never organize another playdate with those 2 brats after a particularly harsh day of bullying. Baxter laughed off the whole thing and told me and Timmy that we were, quote, raising a couple of wimps. He also had to point out that he abused Timmy a lot worse than this when they were kids, as if that somehow makes the situation better. As Lyle and Leonardo got older, their drug addiction spiraled out of control. We rarely see them much nowadays. They deal drugs and spend most of their time either on the streets or couch surfing at different shady places with assorted shady characters, sometimes crashing for the night at Baxter's house when they want to use his place as a free hotel and ask him for a bit of money for you-know-what. They used to show up at my house at odd hours of the night asking for money, and finally we had to tell them to not show up here again. Baxter never wanted to address the issue or see his fault in the situation. He just refuses to take any responsibility for how his kids turned out. So guys, let's go ahead and fast forward to the present day, and I can finally get to the real reason I'm writing this post for you. You see, Timmy and I planned a family dinner party to celebrate Tina and Tommy's admission into the prestigious local private school we selected. Everyone, for the most part, was excited for Tina and Tommy and wished to congratulate them. So we all decided on a party in their honor. It would be the best way to wish them well and give them a proper send-off before they begin their high school years at a great institution. What could go wrong, am I right? Well, I should have known better, guys. I should have known better than to assume I could have one single, normal family function with Baxter around. I don't even know why Timmy insisted on inviting Baxter. I just knew Baxter was going to run his mouth about something and be a jerk to people like he always does. But Timmy insisted that it would be somehow rude to exclude him from the family celebration, especially in light of his uncle's recent passing. The dinner party was also intended to be something out of a celebration of Timmy and Baxter's uncle's life, so I saw Timmy's side of the argument and relented on allowing Baxter to attend the party. In hindsight, I should have put my foot down and said no. Then this entire debacle could have been avoided. Baxter texted Timmy and me just to tell us that he was on his way over. He was running late, of course, and Timmy wanted to wait for Baxter to arrive before we ate food that I prepared for everyone. I told Timmy no way. It was Baxter's fault he was running late. One small relief was Baxter did inform us Lyle and Leonardo would not be attending, because they had not responded to his text in a few days. Timmy responded with a text saying, that's a shame. We both knew Lyle and Leonardo were probably out getting drugs, not knowing what planet they were even on. So, The party was actually going fine, and things seemed somewhat civil with Baxter as well. Unfortunately, Baxter starts to catch a buzz. The buzz turned into full-on drunkenness, and Baxter was downing liquor drinks faster than anybody's ever seen it. I knew it was a bad idea to provide alcohol, but we did not want to have an alcohol-free party just because of Baxter. I figured he was an adult who should be able to show responsibility for his actions, but the guy simply did not realize his limits. Just as I'd worried about happening, Baxter started running his mouth and just being unnecessary, combative, for no reason whatsoever. He asked Timmy and me to which school we planned on sending Tina and Tommy. Well, we already mentioned the name of the school numerous times that evening, and I had a feeling Baxter already knew this, but was simply looking for a lead, just for some form of sarcastic remark. When we reminded him for the up-10th time which school we had selected, Baxter immediately started off on this infamous rant. First, Baxter bragged about the fancy private school Lyle and Leonardo attended. He suggested that this particular school was far more superior to that of the one Timmy and I have chosen. Baxter neglected to mention that both of his sons dropped out of high school before graduating, and they never even completed a GED program, because they were too busy being full-time criminals. To top it all off, Baxter said that the school Timmy and I chose was a loser academy. He said Tina and Tommy would surely grow up to be pathetic losers if they attended this school, and reiterated a few more times that he somehow knew the right school for my children. I could feel my blood starting to boil. Timmy, always the calm one, merely brushed off the criticism. I suppose he's used to Baxter's crap by now, but I decided the moment there I had enough of this junk. You know, Baxter, you aren't exactly one to be giving parental advice. Well, I was so angry at the moment that the words just came out of my mouth before I even realized that I said them. Everybody at the dinner table was clearly stunned into silence. I guess no one's ever stood up to old Baxter before. What did you say to me? I knew he heard me, so I did not repeat myself. I was so ticked off that I decided to lay it out on him. I reminded Baxter that his own sons were drug addicts and drug dealers who spent most of their time living on the street. I asked him if he wants to reconsider his position on which private school was best for my children, considering my children are high achievers and his kids are spoiled brats who sabotage their own lives. I winced and prepared myself for a barrage of yelling and attacks from Baxter, but the yelling and attacks did not come. Baxter instead began sobbing loudly at the table. It was quite uncomfortable to witness, and he immediately just garnered the sympathy of most of the people there. Suddenly, I look like the bad guy in the situation, and it seems like everyone, but me, was blind to Baxter's obvious manipulation. I felt like I was living in the Twilight Zone. Baxter began rattling off a litany of excuses as to why it wasn't his fault whatsoever that Lyle and Leonardo turned out the way that they did. It was a bit ironic, considering Baxter kept sipping his alcoholic beverage, as he pondered out loud that he could not imagine why Lyle and Leonardo got tangled up into drugs. He blamed the boy's mother, and he spoke ill of his ex-wife and the numerous girlfriends whom Baxter perceived to have wronged him throughout his entire life. Of course, he neglected to mention that he had cheated on all these women and had been the one who ruined the relationship every single time. Baxter's sob story fooled everyone there. And, well, I looked like I was a mean person. Even Timmy seemed to forget the moment prior to Baxter's outburst he had been bullying us regarding which school we decided to send our kids to. Baxter gets absolutely no sympathy from me. I stood up. I told everyone to leave. I said the party is over. I could tell everybody was uncomfortable, but I didn't care. I made everybody get out, and I apologized to my children. I demanded Timmy join me upstairs for a chit-chat. I told him we need to have some serious discussions about what just happened. Timmy could not see my side of the issue and insisted that I was too harsh on old Baxter. What do you people here think about this? I could use some advice, truly, because I'm not sure exactly what I did wrong. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So here we go, a classic story of Baxter. Guys, it looks like this one is far from over. I have multiple updates, and if you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing for daily videos, and that way you will never miss an update. Let's just go ahead, jump straight into it. Update number 1 out of 5. Hey everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for the kind comments I've received. Most of you seem to understand my side of the story. I understand some of you feel that I could have handled the outburst better, and I admit it was years of frustration that came spilling out when I flew off the handle on Baxter. Still, it was reassuring to see so much support. It seems many of you have a person like Baxter in your lives. I wish I could say things are beginning to look up, but that would be wrong. Far from it. In fact, I've been getting barraged with insults by internet trolls. My social media accounts have all been flooded with abuse. You see, Lyle and Leonardo are both popular on Instagram, TikTok, and even YouTube. They upload videos and pictures flaunting their, quote, lavish lifestyle. It's funny that people actually buy into the crap. Of course, my family and I are all well aware that Lyle and Leonardo live lives of destitution and anguish, but on social media, they've amassed quite a following simply for posting pictures of, well, drugs and expensive alcohol, strip clubs, and, well, you guys can just keep naming it. Anyways, they even posted pictures of the people's fancy cars and claimed it was theirs. Evidently, Lyle and Leonardo must have caught wind of me talking about them because all the insults I'm receiving are saying things like, Lyle and Leonardo aren't losers, they're cool as hell. I guess Baxter told his son the stuff I said about them. I had no choice but to delete my social media profile in the wake of all the abuse I was receiving. I mean, what would you do? Update number 2. Hey everyone, OP here with another update. Baxter truly crossed the line today. There are a lot of details to go over, and I'm struggling to collect my thoughts since it's been such a chaotic and hectic day, so please bear with me. I'm going to get right to the point. After today, Timmy and I are going to make Baxter pay on his foul misdeeds. With all the abuse I was receiving on social media, and considering I was forced into deleting all my media pages, Timmy was understandably furious about the troll that I endured. He knew Lyle and Leonardo were responsible for this, which meant Baxter had obviously been bad-mouthing me to them. I tried to get Timmy to calm down, just a bit, but this was the angriest I've ever seen him. It seemed as if Timmy had finally reached his own boiling point, just as I reached mine at the dinner party. Humans can only endure so much abuse, and Baxter was due for a hefty dose of karmic retribution for his cruel, selfish actions. Timmy initially called Baxter on the phone and made an honest, mature attempt at rationalizing with him. Unfortunately, Baxter was already quite drunk by the time Timmy called him up on the phone, so any sort of reasonable conflict resolution was essentially impossible to achieve. Timmy tried to remain calm and collected, but I could hear Baxter on the other end of the phone shouting all sorts of obscenities. Well, making excuses, calling Timmy names and more. Timmy could hardly get a word in, and suddenly I heard Baxter refer to me as a word I shall not even repeat here. It's a word you should and would never call a woman where I'm from. And suddenly I saw Timmy's facial expression absolutely switch up. It completely changed. It was as if he was possessed by something, some sort of entity. Something simply came over Timmy and he hung up the phone and rang, while Baxter was still insistently rambling on and on and on. Well, Timmy grabbed his car keys without even saying a word. I asked him where the heck he's going, and he told me that he's going to pay Baxter a little visit. Well, I was scared something horrible was going to happen. I insisted on tagging along just in case things got out of hand. When we arrived at Baxter's house, Timmy told me to wait in the car. I kept my phone nearby just in case, and I could hear Timmy and Baxter yelling at each other at Baxter's doorstep. Baxter had a large bottle of vodka in his hand that he was drinking straight out in between exchanging barbs with Timmy. It was clear Timmy's attempt to rationalize it was simply futile. What I say next, it's absolutely horrifying and something I wish I never had to witness. Timmy was saying something to Baxter when he suddenly punched Timmy square in the face. I screamed. I frantically reached for my cellular device to call emergency services as I watched Baxter severely beat Timmy. I wanted to help, but there was nothing I could do. I had to wait for the cops. The cops quickly arrived and restrained Baxter, placing him under arrest. Timmy was rushed to the hospital where he made it clear that he had every intention of pressing charges against Baxter. So now I'm sitting here in silence, waiting for Timmy to be discharged from the hospital. Baxter's going to pay for his actions. Update number 3. Hello everyone, I've got another update for you all. And well, thank you, first of all, for reading this far with all the insanity that my family and I had to endure. It's been so helpful to have an outlet just to get a bit of support. Well, it seems like Timmy and I can't seem to catch a break. Luckily, he was discharged from the hospital, and his injuries were not as severe as we thought. He's still pretty bruised up, but I'm proud of him. I hate that he got beat up so bad, but I was happy to see Timmy finally stand up not just for me, but for himself. He even managed to get in a few square punches on old Baxter before the cops broke up the fight. Now, my husband's just taking it easy around the house. He's quite traumatized from all this, and our children are quite shaken up from seeing their father in such a condition. Well, I suppose Lyle and Leonardo found out that their dad was arrested. It would be hard not to find out about it. I suppose Baxter's mugshot was posted all over social media and the local newspaper. It's quite a big deal in town, you know, when one of the heirs of a successful business gets arrested for fighting. So this whole thing has been quite embarrassing for our family. I'm not sure where Leonardo was, but Timmy and I received a surprise visit from none other than Lyle earlier today. I wish I could tell you he was visiting us to have a reasonable, amicable discussion, but no such thing was going on. Lyle began banging on the front door to our home like a madman. He kept pleading for us to please let him in the house. He starts shouting that Timmy and I need to drop the charges now. You see, Lyle often uses Baxter as a personal ATM. With Baxter in jail, I guess his plans have been disturbed. Well, you know what? Tough luck, kiddo. I told Lyle that he needs to get off our property this instant. That's when Lyle started jumping up and down in front of our yard garden. He kicked over our little yard gnome and broke the glass. He smashed my car's front passenger window. He was obviously in the midst of some sort of a drug-induced rage. He was acting like he was on some bath salt. Tina and Tommy were terrified and shaking, and, well, Timmy called the police. You know what? I guess Lyle got to see his father after all this because now both of these jerks are sitting in a jail cell in county jail. Timmy and I are pressing charges against Lyle. It's time for these idiots to wake up. Update number 4. Hello guys, I need to fill you in on another update because the strangest thing just happened to Timmy and me. So I mentioned in my last update that Leonardo was not present alongside Lyle when he showed up at our house and wreaked havoc. Well, I found out the reason for that. I knew something was up because these two are normally inseparable due to the trauma bond and drug abuse bond that they do share. Timmy and I had the pleasure of having a sober conversation with Leonardo today. He showed up at our doorstep asking if he could come in and have a chat with us. I'll admit, Timmy and I were initially quite skeptical of his motive. Surely he was only here at our doorstep with the intention of causing chaos and destruction, just like the rest of his foul family. Yet despite what I was feeling, Timmy and I decided to let him in and give him a chance. I could see that Leonardo had a different look in his eye. He looked like he was thinking clear, completely, for a change. Leonardo admitted he was starting his journey of sobriety, and he said that he had come to the realization that he needs to distance himself from the toxicity of Baxter and Lyle. He said that their recent arrests were wake-up calls for him. Leonardo said that he wished to help Timmy and me in any way that he possibly could because he wished to atone for his previous mistreatment of us, and hopefully rectify the damage his father and brother have caused. There was a lot of hugging and crying. We told Leonardo we forgive him. That's when Leonardo said that he would testify in our favor in both Baxter's assault trial and Lyle's destruction of property. It's going to be a while before my next update, because Timmy and I will have to prepare for court, but I promise I will wrap things up. Final update. Hello guys, OP is here again with a final update for you all. Yeah, I know it's been quite a while, but Timmy and I just endured 2 court dates, virtually back-to-back. We had a lot of preparation and we had to hire an expensive lawyer. But the thing that truly helped us was Leonardo's testimony in our favor. Leonardo's been sober for a few months now and he's thinking clearly. Clearer than ever before. In fact, I know it was hard for him to take that stand twice and tell the whole courtroom that his father and his brother were mentally disturbed addicts. But Leonardo also knew that giving them a harsh wake-up call like this would be the only way to get their act together and possibly get them the help that they needed. Baxter sobbed in court and called Leonardo a traitor. I could see that stung him, but Timmy and I reminded Leonardo he's done the right thing. In fact, Leonardo moved in with us. He had nowhere to go after Baxter and Lyle received jail sentences. And since he was a homeless drug addict just before all this happened, he was starting from square one. Timmy and I gave him the spare guest room, and well, we had an extra one, and we helped Leonardo get his first legitimate job. He's working at McDonald's. He's actually a great person without the influence of drugs and alcohol, and he gets along with Tina and Tommy just fine. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. Thank you for reading.
So I think the best thing about the story is that somebody from that side of the family was able to be saved. And what I mean by that, I'm talking about Leonardo, who's the only one in his direct family who was able to change his life around. He saw the path that his brother just went down, and he saw the path for years that his father went down, which ultimately led him to the decision to get help from OP. Guys, I want to know what you think about this story, what you would have done differently, or maybe you thought OP handled this flawlessly. Let's just talk about it down below in the comment section. Guys, my name is Mr. Reddito, and if you guys want more of these daily animated drama stories, the best way to get them is simply by clicking the subscribe button. Have a great day, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.